Hey, hey, hey. Time for another Out of This World story from our space. Fresh out of a breakup and feeling numb. Hi everyone. I decided to join Reddit after my almost 2-year-long relationship ended yesterday. It feels rough because I wasn't expecting it. Not after all the work I put into being a better partner. My ex yo-yoed between breaking up and then desperately telling me how much she loves me and wants us to work out yesterday. Just to give her some time because she's uncertain and needs to figure out how she's been failing our relationship. I won't claim to be perfect. I made my fair share of mistakes in the past. However, not only did I take ownership, but I moved heaven and earth to be better. So at this point, I feel defeated and gutted as a person because at my best, I was told that it's not enough. I informed my ex that I will leave the door open for us, but I need time away to also work on myself, and to only contact me if she knows with certainty that I'm the guy she wants to be with. And then I left. But I feel so numb and zoned out, like a zombie. There are moments when I break down, but right now I feel completely numb and lost without any idea of how to handle or deal with this. I had planned to propose to her within the next few months. I had a date picked out too. I feel like my life has been turned upside down. Any advice on how to care for myself appropriately during this time? Thank you so much. The first piece of advice comes from Heartbroken Kid. It's your life, of course, and you run the show, but as a random man on the internet, I want you to be happy and to succeed. I personally think you shouldn't marry this woman, from the information I know. This isn't someone you want to be married to, have kids with, joint ownerships with. Out of the blue, she can do something like this. Yes, every relationship will have its ups and downs, but what she's doing is a red flag. Not only do I think you could do better, I know you deserve better. Focus on yourself, financially, physically, emotionally, mentally, etc. Set goals for yourself. I want to visit X. I want to attend X, etc. Work out, get in shape, if you aren't. Not saying become a bodybuilder, but maybe walk around your area for 30 minutes or lift for 30 to 45 minutes. Distance yourself from sad stuff, movies, music, books, etc. Don't feel ashamed to lean on your friends. They're your friends for a reason. Go out with them, socialize, plan a boys trip. Find or try new hobbies. Golfing, fishing, traveling, building stuff like cars. There's so much more to life, I promise you. This may seem like it's the end or only gets worse from here on out, but I promise you, it's not. Moving on. Walking away after being cheated on. Hi everyone. I've recently been through a breakup caused by infidelity. I discovered this on our anniversary, the time at which I had planned on actually popping the question. It hasn't been more than a week, and I've really been spiraling emotionally. I am or was madly in love with my ex, and as much as I want to be with her, I realized that I'd spend my life feeling suspicious and insecure, unable to give her nor myself the love we deserve. And so, I walked away, but not without giving her my forgiveness. I'm not excusing her behavior, but I know she's been through a lot of trauma in her life, and I know I'm the kind of person who can never truly heal if I hold on to a grudge. My only hope for her is that she uses the experience to grow as a person and deal with her issues. But I don't know how to deal with this healthily. Can you please give me some advice? I've been through breakups in the past, but nothing like this. Each time I've struggled and did everything one ought not to when trying to move on. I don't care how hard it will be, as long as I can heal and rebuild myself, I'll do it. Update. Is something wrong with me for caring about her? I recently parted way with my partner of 2 years. We were set to be married and I had plans of popping the question on our anniversary, which just passed. However, I found out she was cheating on me. The way in which I found out is something you would imagine only happens in a movie. It was that traumatic. Still, I chose to leave with love and forgiveness. During these few weeks, as much as I'm completely certain that I cannot and won't return to that relationship, I feel bad thinking about the journey she had ahead of her. Instead of worrying about myself, I seem to be thinking about how she is going to manage to live with this regret and the consequences of her actions. Many months ago, she had come to me that she was entertaining some advances from this guy. I chose to forgive her and move past it because I had somewhat of a similar experience myself over text way back. I figured that this showed a great deal of maturity, remorse, and respect. What I never expected was that this event would lead to a full-on emotional and limited physical cheating from her. Even though she didn't sleep with him, it's the months of lies, betrayal, manipulation, and gaslighting that has left me completely shocked and unable to be with her. But here I am, worried about her and the suffering she may be going through. Do I really lack this much self-respect or self-worth to be feeling bad for someone who did this to me? Update. Uncertain whether I should give my ex a chance. Hello everyone. I'm interested in hearing some opinions. My partner of a few years and I broke up recently. We had plans of getting married and I was set to propose. Here's what happened. She had a guy friend who had clear interest in her. I asked her to distance herself from him when she came to me to say that she had been entertaining his text advances and felt guilty. I gave her a chance under this condition. We were in a long-distance relationship and would see each other once a month for about a week at a time. She went along with it until he wormed his way back. The unfortunate part is that he was not just friends with her, but her entire family. He knew of me and had been trying to set me up by using fake female profiles to see if I'd text back so he could use this as ammunition to break us up. It never worked because I wouldn't engage. I only found this out post-breakup. She kept this from me. His family is very well off, and so he would do all sorts of gifting and favors for her family and her. Fast forward a few months, he makes a move on her, kisses her, and she kisses back. It was a single kiss, and thereafter she felt guilty and informed him that she loves me and made a mistake. He reveals that they've been in contact the whole time to me very shortly after. Not to do me a favor, because he's just a scumbag. He hoped that by getting me out of the picture, she'd be his. That's not what happened. She's been desperately trying to win me back, but the truth is that she didn't confess to me in those weeks since it happened, lied to me about continuing the friendship with him, as well as made me feel like I was being insecure when I'd suspect she was still in communication with him. She absolutely made some questionable character choices. Since then, I've gotten as much information from her about stuff. I actually didn't know they had kissed. She confessed that part to me. Up until then, she says she had been towing the line and got carried away by the constant attention from him. My question is this. Do I cut my losses, or do I give this person the opportunity to prove herself? I'm too emotionally invested to be objective about this, and I constantly battle between the two options since I ended the relationship. Apart from this, she had quite a bit of traits that I liked and was extremely proactive in the relationship for the most part, but she cheated in this way. And I'm having a hard time deciding whether this is someone who immaturely made a bad series of decisions or if she lacks loyalty and integrity. Update. I'd like to thank everyone who replied. It gives me a lot to think about. I feel like I came on here desperately looking for some loophole to allow myself to give her another chance, but I thought about how much agony I'm in right now, and that should never be how one feels about love or a relationship. So I've decided I'm going to stick with the breakup and take time away completely from her to heal and move on. Thanks again, everyone. Update. I'm starting to forgive her, but at a cost. I posted about my breakup that occurred about 5 weeks ago. I discovered my partner cheated on me with a guy she assured me was just a friend and no longer in her life. I learned of this just before proposing. It had been a traumatic experience that I will never forget. Since then, my ex has tried constantly to win me back. For a while, I debated whether I should try again or not. Then I reached the conclusion that I won't reconcile now and need to work on processing what happened. I thought that if I could just forgive her, I'd be able to work on the relationship again. I've started to actually forgive her now. We've had many open conversations about everything as well. But instead of wanting to reconcile, the opposite has occurred since I've started to forgive her. I have lost most of my desire, if not all, to reconcile. I'm not sure whether to celebrate this or be sad about this. I just wanted to reach out and find out what advice or thoughts I could get from others who went through this. I feel both relieved yet disappointed because I really hoped that I would be able to try again if I could forgive her. I wasn't expecting this. Update. 2 months after DDay and I still feel betrayed. Is this normal? I understand that getting over a 2-year relationship in 2 months is unreasonable. I had spoken to my ex who cheated on me a few times over the last month. She wears me down at times. I could tell that she genuinely regrets what she's done and is remorseful. Her goal has been to try and support me as I heal. But I decided to end contact a few days ago because I realized just staying in touch was too painful. It felt like torture because I'd go through all these conflicting emotions. I do feel at ease now, knowing that I can focus only on myself and recovering, but at the same time, I still find myself having all the mind movies. I also feel incredibly sad all the time that someone I cared about so much stabbed me in the back to this degree. I've never been good at dealing with past trauma. Stuff that happened in my childhood affects me till today. Thus, my anxious attachment style and ability to attract codependent partners. My goal is to work through all this and set myself free in a way. I want to reset and feel at peace before I even think about moving on. But is it normal to feel like I can't stomach the idea of being vulnerable again with someone? Like, I feel so violated by the betrayal that I'm struggling daily. Any advice would be greatly appreciated on how to deal with my trauma. Update. Lessons learned from my last relationship that ended due to infidelity. It's been about 3 months or so since my relationship ended after catching my partner cheating on me. Safe to say, it was a shit show. I was traumatized by the way it happened and felt like most of my relationship was a lie. I've learned many valuable lessons that I hope might be helpful to someone else. Trust your gut, always. Don't ignore red flags, especially when the people closest to you recognize these flags in your partner. Measure your partner's words against their actions. Don't make excuses for them in your own mind. If you're dating an unhappy person, don't make it your mission to make them happy. Don't try to fix someone else, and don't date someone who could potentially be what you want. They either are or they aren't. Don't fear loneliness. It's not nearly as painful as what you may experience from dating or marrying the wrong person for you. Stand up for yourself when you're being disrespected or gaslit. Don't ignore a partner's history of low integrity or poor moral decisions unless they have recognized their flaws and made an effort to resolve them. The most important lesson I learned is to prioritize my own happiness and well-being. There's nothing wrong with being selfish about the quality of people you allow into your life and the standard of relationships you are willing to entertain. I believe that life happens for you, not to you. And so, even though I still experience pain from what happened, it has actually propelled me towards facing my own inadequacies and demons. On a side note, since investing a lot of time into my self-development over the last few months, I had to completely cut ties with my cheating ex. At one point, I considered reconciliation, but as time passed, I realized the magnitude of her cheating. She would have told hundreds, if not 1,000 lies to me over the last few months of our relationship while she betrayed me. I also suspected it and confronted her on many occasions, and I was met with gaslighting and manipulation. I'm not trying to discourage anyone who is trying to reconcile. I respect you and took motivation from you. But after seeing the true person my ex is, flaws and all, I can't imagine a narrative where I would ever allow someone like that to have a place in my life, even with the love I have for the person I thought she was. The relief I feel from closing this chapter has been something I have desperately searched for. It's not easy, but it feels right for me. I have to develop a deeper relationship with myself until I am truly happy and full of self-love. Perhaps then, I'll consider a new relationship. I hope this was helpful. If you're going to do something like this, I send my well wishes to you. Update. An update that has upset me today. Hi everyone. I feel kind of crappy for having to even post this because I was in such a great headspace since cutting my ex off. However, this morning I woke up to a text from my ex that actually opened some of my wounds. Just for some context, we were together for 2 years and about to be married. I found out in a horrific way that she cheated on me with her neighbor, who she claimed was just a friend and she had absolutely zero interest in. She didn't confess. I caught her. In fact, she told me hundreds of lies this year related to her friendship that turned into an affair. I've mentioned that she and I were in contact post DDay. I was on the fence about completely splitting or reconciling. She mentioned some guy she was friends with, let's call him Bob, from college had started texting her during the last 2 months and he's interested in her, but she isn't. I didn't think anything of it because I know we were split up and I believed her when she said she wasn't interested in him or dating anyone at all. She just wanted me back and can't imagine herself with anyone else. A week ago, when I closed the doors for reconciliation, I asked her earlier that day about moving on and she tells me that she has no interest in that and wants to be by herself. I told her it's okay and I hope she meets someone lovely in the future and she's happy. We parted ways in a good enough way, and that was that. She reached out to me today and talks about how sad, lonely, and upset she is, how much she misses me, that she went out with Bob this weekend and 4 of his other friends to a theme park because he invited her and she just missed me a lot. This really upset me and made me hurt. Please tell me if I'm being unfair and irrational in my thinking, but is this not exactly what she did in our relationship? Why even mention this guy and assure me you have no interest in him only to accept an invitation days later? In her mind, she thought maybe I'd hear this and think how much she must miss me to be with another guy, but I took this as almost another form of betrayal. Am I being irrational or immature feeling this way? What's the need to tell me X when she feels Y? Why go create a situation that looks so much like what she did in our relationship that led to the demise of it? Update. I find myself rehashing old events in my mind regularly. It's been a while since I made a conscious decision to not reconcile, and having that level of closure was helpful overall. The drama has ended and I find myself in somewhat of a normal space. Days are more predictable and it feels like I have control over my life again. Dare I say, there are days when I'm actually quite happy. I'll be singing along with songs again, working with enthusiasm and seeking out good conversations with people around me. However, there are also days when I'm suddenly overwhelmed with feelings of pain. Even on my good days, I still think about my ex and what happened. But it won't rule my day or my moods. It's during the bad days when I particularly struggle with events that occurred. In my case, it wasn't just my ex cheated, but she lied to me for months and gaslit me too. I suspected she was cheating and I'd confront her only to be met with gaslighting. Those events play in my mind. I find myself wishing I had handled it differently, that I walked away sooner, that I could have pushed a bit more and been more critical at the time. But I also understand that with trust, there's no need to do that, and I trusted my ex, so despite my suspicions, I chose to accept what she was saying back then, even taking shots at me saying I'm being insecure or threatened unnecessarily. Looking back now, knowing that I was deceived affects me on those bad days. What are some of the things I can do to minimize the impact of those thoughts and feelings during the bad days? How have you managed to distance yourself from ruminating over these things? I have complete faith that my future can be great. I'm avoiding any toxic behaviors. I haven't rebounded and I'm getting quite comfortable being on my own. But I realize healing isn't linear. I'd really appreciate some advice or just a share in your experience with this. Update. Hopefully a final update to my situation. Hey everyone. I frequently posted about my situation last year. Discovered my girlfriend was having an affair. Found out on our anniversary when I had plans to propose. I won't go into too much detail, but it was messy and I had to deal with her psychotic affair partner who was targeting me in many ways. There were many ups and downs. I considered reconciliation, but my ex was too inconsistent. All trust was severed. I went through so much of daily mind movies because I saw some stuff that nobody wants to see. I had so many unanswered questions. I felt like I wasted so much of my time, effort, and money, and to top it all off, the trauma of betrayal affected my emotions daily. However, eventually, I broke free. I made the decision to not reconcile, and for the first month or so after making that decision, I faced resistance from myself. Fears and insecurities would affect me. It was so painful to walk away despite being betrayed like that. But I'm so pleased to say that after more time, lots and lots of work on my end to heal emotionally and face everything, submitting to reality and letting go of the chapter, I feel good. I'm a strong believer in the concept that life happens for you, not to you. These days, I feel even more convinced by this because of how happy I feel on some days. It's not perfect. As you all know, you still deal with some thoughts and emotions, but I'm no longer attached to what happened. I don't label myself anymore as a betrayed partner or anything. I've let go of that whole relationship and chapter of my life. So now, I'm just building a new me. It's just me, a work in progress. And I have to say, it feels good. I'm the most at peace I've ever been in perhaps a long time. I pray regularly, I exercise daily again, I eat clean, I spend a lot of time with myself focusing on my emotions and thoughts. I read self-help books daily. I cut out a lot of toxic people from my life and strengthen my relationships with those who make me feel good. I work with enthusiasm. I have goals and I do things that I enjoy. This is the most balanced my life has looked in a long time, and I had to suffer greatly since last year to get here. It was not easy, but it was so empowering because I took control of my life. I didn't go rebounding, I didn't partake in vices, I didn't force anything, I didn't run from the trauma, and I stopped labeling myself based on someone else's actions. The road is still long, but if this is any indicator of what's to come, then I'm so excited for the future. At a certain point, you have to stop with the infidelity videos, the constant pain shopping, and ruminating. That was holding me back from accepting the end of the chapter in my life. It may take you half a year like it did for me, or it may take you many years, but you'll get there, either with reconciliation or without. But you have to do what's difficult but good for your soul, your future, your mental health, and your happiness. I hope this brings some comfort and hope to you. Stay strong, and I'm sending my well wishes to all of you. Thanks to everyone on here who took the time to help advise me.